Do 4 examples on dividing decimals. You can always divide any number, whether it's a decimal or not, by a whole number. And here I'm doing a decimal number divided by a whole number, and I'm going to lay it out using the traditional dividing method. The number before the sign goes inside this shape here, and the number I'm dividing by goes outside the shape. And because I'm dividing by 7, I'm just going to write the 7 times table down at the side, or at least part of it. If I need to extend it, make it go further in a minute, I can do. So I ask myself now, does 7 go into 2? No, 7 doesn't go into 2 at all. So I put a 0 up here. If you ever put a 0 up here, this number here shoots up here as a little sort of remainder, like a carry number. And this number here now reads as 28. Does 7 go into 28? Well, it does. It's here in my list. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 sevens. So I'll put a 4 up here. There's no remainder, nothing else left to do apart from sorting out the decimal point. If there is a decimal point in this position in my question, I need to put a decimal point in that position in my answer. So 2.8 divided by 7 is 0.4. And that is how you can do a question where it's a decimal number divided by a whole number. But the next question I'm going to do, 4.14 divided by 0.3, I'm not dividing by a whole number anymore. I'm dividing now by a decimal number. And you can't really do these very easily. So what you do is this. You times both numbers by 10. And it's 10 because decimal points and decimal places, tens and hundreds are important. So I'm timesing this number by 10. That will make it 41.4. What I've done here is I've moved the decimal point one place to the right. And I'm going to move times this number by 10. That becomes 3. I've moved the decimal point from there to here, effectively. So that's making that 3. Those two sums have identical answers. So I'm going to do this sum here. I'm going to do 41.4 divided by 3. So I ask myself, first of all, will 3 go into 4? It will do. It goes in once. 1, 3 is 3. So there's a remainder of 1, which I'll put here. Does 3 go into 11? Yes, 3 goes into 11 3 times. 3 3s are 9. So from 9 up to 11, there's a remainder of 2, which goes here. 3 is into 24. 3 goes into 24 exactly 8 times. So I'll put my 8 up there. No remainder, nothing else left. But to do, nothing else left to do but to sort out my decimal point. My point in my question is here. I put it directly above it. There's my answer to that question, 13.8. My next question, 6.15 divided by 0.5. This isn't a whole number at the moment, so I'll times both of these numbers by 10. Times that by 10, I get 61.5. Times that by 10, I get 5. Both of those questions have the same answer, so I'm going to do the bottom one here. I'm going to do 61.5 divided by 5. 5 goes into 6 one time with a remainder of 1. 5 goes into 11 twice with a remainder of 1. 5 goes into 15 3 times, no remainder, so I can stop. I just need to put a point above a point. The answer to my original question was 12.3. That's also 12.3. But the answer I'm looking for is that 12.3. And if I'm looking at number 20, my final example I'm doing here, 0.35 divided by 0.2. Again, this isn't a whole number, so times both of them by 10. This number will become 3.5. This number will become 2. So I'm going to do this sum instead. 3.5 divided by 2. 3.5 divided by 2. Once that's a whole number, you can then go ahead and do it. So here, 2 into 3 goes once, remainder 1. 2 into 15, well, 2 sevens are 14. So 2 into 15 goes 7 times, remainder 1. So I put my little remainder here. I'm going to carry on going with my decimal places. But I need something to go alongside that 1. I need to put a 0 in. That's what we do, fill up a space. So this is now 2 into 10, which goes 5 times, exactly, with no remainder. So I've nearly got my answer. I just need to make sure this decimal point comes up here, and there it goes there. So my final answer is 1.75. And that's the answer to my original question. If you were doing a dividing, such as this one here, 4.8 divided by 0.03, you would times them both by 10 to start with. But you would find here that that is not yet a whole number. So we would have to times by 10 again. Times this one by 10 is 480. Times that one by 10 is 3. And when that's a whole number, then we could carry on and do the dividing as normal. You just times by 10, and if you still haven't gotten to be a whole number, times them both by 10 again. You can keep going, and eventually, once this one is a whole number, then you can do your dividing.